Welcome to the College Basketball Pub Hub, Sunday, March 12th. Selection Sunday, March 12th. Exciting day, of course. We're going to have the Field of 68 for the NCAA tournament announced at 6 p.m. Eastern, an annual tradition on a Sunday in March. We know we're going to hear some team bellyache about getting screwed. Who's it going to be? Vanderbilt, Arizona State, Mississippi State, all these Utah State, all these teams that are on the frickin' bubble. Who's going to complain and bitch about not getting in? Someone will. But regardless, who does get in, who doesn't get in, we're going to have a field of 68, and we're going to have an NCAA tournament bracket set up, and we're going to have matchups in the first round. So looking forward to that. But before we get there, we do have 5 more conference championships to be decided. Ian Cameron, Conor Mack with you. Cab, we got to put out an APB on Cab. Not sure where he is, but it is what it is. We're here. We're ready to break down the Sunday college basketball pub-up show. Full disclosure, Conor Mack might have been my worst day of the entire college basketball season yesterday. Absolutely atrocious day. There's not much you can do about it. Things just didn't go your way. Thank you for showing up, UAB, in a conference championship game. That was phenomenal. But, it was just an absolutely awful day. But that's okay. We can turn the page and look forward to some pretty good games today here on this Sunday, and these 5 conference championship games still left to be decided.
Yeah, there was a lot of tough games to watch. There's a lot of blowouts, but it is what it is. Let's roll to today. There were at least some good wins. How about San Diego State? And the game went way under. I was happy with that one. But yeah, let's get to it today.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, our late night. We nailed the late night game. I said Grand Canyon. I kind of like them in that game, and I like the over, and we got that. So at least it ended the day on a positive note, which was good to see with that WAC championship game. You didn't go to any of the games yesterday, did you?
I went to Arizona, UCLA.
Oh, you went to the Pac-12. Very good.
Yeah,
Very good.
What a game.
Good game.
Yeah.
You know what? And I said this on Twitter, and I'll see if you agree. If I'm Arizona and I'm decked out in the red and I'm cheering them on and I'm a big fan of the team, I love that we won a game like that where it was not easy. We didn't get our offense going, and we dug in and we just found a way to pull one out of the fire, and we grinded one out. That's a positive going into the NCAA tournament. They got to show they can win a game like that, because you're not always going to put up 80, 85, 90 points every game.
Yeah, that's big for them. And I talked about it yesterday. I think with Clark out, it's going to be tough for UCLA. I mean, they could still make a run, but I think he's too important for them, too versatile. Obviously they still have Hawkins and Campbell, but tough for UCLA.
No, exactly. No, and Arizona, like I say, I love that team. They got Balo and Azulis, Tubelis, the 2 twin towers. Kreese is a little erratic. He can have one good game, one awful game at the point.
He could kill them in the tournament. I have a bad feeling. Turnovers and then with him.
It can be an issue. Larson's good. Of course, Ramey, what a job they did bringing him in as a transfer in the offseason. Just a veteran presence, make big shots, and what a big shot he made to give them that win last night. So that's a good team, and it's good to see them win a game like that where the offense isn't clicking and they still find a way to win. All right, let's see if we can find a way to win with these 5 games here today. Ivy League Championship, we'll start there. Princeton and Yale. Yale 3-point favorites, 138.5 being the total in this game. I think it's fair to say that for the balance of the Ivy League season, these have been the 2 best teams in the Ivy League. So only right that they're facing each other. I split out with the Penn-Princeton game. I had Penn, but I had the over. The over just got there at 146.5 by a half a point. We'll take it. But Penn falls short, 77-70 yesterday. Princeton with that win to advance. It was a very impressive performance from Tosan Evwawan. There you go. Make sure we get that right. He was very good. 21 points for Princeton in that victory. Yale with an 80-60 beatdown over Cornell yesterday. Non-competitive that game was, and their defense really has stepped up to the plate big time as of late. I think if you're going to look at these 2 teams, I always like to look at current form going into a game of this magnitude. I just think that Yale's a little bit better in a variety of areas, going into this game here. And I think that could end up being the difference. Actually, the one area they're not is free throw. At least the last 5 games, Princeton's been slightly better in terms of free throw shooting. But, Yale offensively, I think they're a little bit better than Princeton. Yale defensively, just a little bit better than Princeton. Price is short here in this one. You're talking about Yale 3-point favorites in this one. I think I might buy it down to the money line. I like doing that with the small favorites. I mean, it's minus 165, minus 160 bookmaker as minus 160. So there you go. That's a little bit better of a price. I don't like messing around in a championship game with 3-point favorites. What if this game's like a 4 or 5 point margin? And let's say Yale's ahead and then there's fouling. They miss a 1-and-1. They come down with time running out, shoot a 3, you lose your bet. So uh,
Yeah.
you're always worried about that. But I like Yale. Again, we're looking at statistical differences between these two teams, just slightly better in a lot of the different categories here. Points per game scored, points per game allowed, field goal percentage offense, field goal percentage defense, just slight edges for Yale. And I'm going to lean on that. Plus the fact that they beat Princeton twice during the regular season. So Yale to me has just been, to me, as Princeton's had a nice season. Yale to me, front to back, start to finish, been the best team in this Ivy League this season. And I'm going to just bank on that to carry them through and get the job done here. So Yale money line for me. Connor, what do you think here? Ivy League title game.
Yeah, I think it is Yale, and they beat them both times. But there's a lot of 3.5s. Now there's just mostly threes. There's maybe one or two halves out there. I thought Princeton's defense has been a little bit better because obviously I think Yale is the better defense, and they're more of an under team. Princeton over team. I'm not going to touch the total. They've gotten over lately between these two. But early morning championship game, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm off. I agree with you. I don't want Yale really laying at 3.5. They shoot 69% free throws, like you talked about. I mean, it's just like I don't want to do it. I think Princeton could hang in there, but I'm off.
That should be a good game here. Again, you like to see this situation here, but yeah, as far as the total is concerned here, it's getting to the point where it's a little low, 138.5. I mean, I know it's a championship game. I expect defensive intensity, no doubt, but it's getting a little bit low for my liking. That the over does appear. Like they went over in both meetings. We got to 152, and you take out overtime in the second meeting, and that game still got to 140 points. And we're talking 138.5 now. Seems a little low. I like the over a little more now than I did when it opened because it's dropped a couple of points. All right, next up we've got the Atlantic 10 championship game. Dayton and VCU. VCU 1.5 point not home favorites. Favorites. This is of course Barclays Center in Brooklyn. 125 the total in this one. I think I got to stick probably here, Connor, with VCU. I mean they've been really really strong. Ace Baldwin playing great. That press is really making teams' lives miserable here in this conference tournament. Turnovers galore. Don't be fooled by 90-78 against St. Louis. That was a complete blowout. I think VCU kind of paced themselves down the stretch there, getting ready for this championship game here against Dayton. I think when you look at this matchup, Dayton played VCU very, very tough. There's no question about that. But I think when you look at it here in this game, Dayton against that VCU press, their offensive output hasn't been great. And then you start to look at, getting ready to play a team on, these are teams now that have played consecutive days. For VCU, this is going to be their third game in 4 days. Yeah, third game in 4 days for VCU. And as well, same thing for Dayton. And it's back-to-back as well. You got to prepare on the fly and turn around and get ready for your next opponent. So that's not an easy thing to do. I think in this case here, it's easier, I think, for VCU to game plan against Dayton because Dayton just runs your traditional man-to-man type deal. And here for Dayton to try to prepare the next day against this team that's going to just press you all over the court. And the thing about playing teams with that press, it's tougher to play them when you've played so much basketball in a short period of time, like both of these teams have had, 3 and 4 days, back-to-back days. That's the kind of style that can wear you down, especially later in the game. So I like VCU in this game, but my suggestion would be that if you like Dayton, maybe take them in the first half. Because maybe I could see Dayton, having a good, strong start. They're okay early, but then that VCU full court press really starts to wear at you and just wear you down as the game goes along. And then also the what's everything that's been, tabulated up till this point, all the games you've played back to back, that starts to add up too. So the press, the number of games, the minutes you've all played, that starts to add up. So I think Dayton, if you like them, I'd be safer with them maybe earlier in the game because I think there's a real fear for me that they could wear down in the second half against this press that VCU plays. So I like VCU in the game. And if by chance Dayton has a nice start, early lead, I might even add a little VCU live in this game because I do think in the second half they have the chance to really wear down Dayton a little bit. Total at one, I mean, the total is very low. It's 125 here in this game. Both meetings this season stayed under, by the way, 125 and 120. Both of them stayed under the total. They were low scoring games. So the total is right to be in this range. The problem is it's a championship game. If it's close, there's going to be a ton of fouls late. And you know that is just a detriment to unders. So this is the ultimate example of something we've talked about throughout the last few weeks, especially this week conference tournament. If you like the under, take the first half under.
Yeah. I'll get you. Yeah, I'll take it first half. I'm on the next game, Alabama game too, and A&M, and that's starting to go down to 68. I get 69 in there. I would do that, and the first two meetings, the total was 130.
Yeah.
That it stayed under. Just championship game is 124.5. But I don't know how these. I mean, they could get to 60 here, and they don't take care of the ball great either, and they have great defenses. VCU can turn it over, and that's been their problem. And Dayton's kind of owned them a little bit. And it's a tough thing. I think VCU in the end's the better team. The last couple wins have been by 1 point. Or 1 point wins here. I think this is a close, low-scoring basketball game. I'll take the first half under, and yet maybe look at it live if you think a team's down, and you could take advantage of catching 5 points if a team gets up, by 8 or 9, and you think it'd be closer.
All right, it's a good game though. I'm looking forward to it. Good chess match here with Dayton and VCU. And like I say, if you like I say if you like Dayton, take them first half. If you like the under, certainly take it first half, because the worst thing you could have is you've got let's say the score's 30-26 at halftime or 56 points, right? You're on pace for the under. And then it gets to the point where it's like 60 or it's 59-55 with like 2 minutes to go, 114 at that time. And then there's this just parade of fouls because, the game's trying to get extended, and then somehow it creeps up over that 124, 125. You don't want that. And that's definitely something to bear in mind here in this one. Yeah, I believe CBS, Ian Eagle is calling this game on CBS. He's a great listen, he is. Yeah. I love the John Morant dunk call he had in the NBA recently. A jawbreaker. Yeah, that was pretty good. The Ian Eagle's phenomenal. Ian Eagle's going to be the new voice of the Final Four after this year. Jim Nance is gone, and Ian Eagle's taken over that. So get used to Ian Eagle, and he's excellent. What a great choice. Great choice. He does a great job. I figured it was either going to be him or Kevin Harlan was going to take over the Final Four with Jim Nance scaling back on his duties. He says, getting older, I can't be doing NFL, golf, and college basketball all year. I've got to take something off my plate. So he said, I'm stepping down from the college duties and just doing NFL and golf on CBS moving forward. So now Ian Eagle steps in. It's a great choice. All right, next up, we've got SEC Championship, Texas A&M and Alabama. We've got Alabama 5-point favorites here, 146.5 the total in this one. Do you know that I don't believe Alabama the last few years has beaten Texas A&M. Yeah, Texas A&M is 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread against Alabama. The last, to me, how do you
2018?
Yeah,
was the last win. Yeah,
since Nate Oates has been here, it's crazy. You're right. The Alabama's never beaten Texas A&M, and you could argue Texas A&M's playing outstanding basketball here. It's like let me just say this. If you bet underdogs more often than not yesterday, you got your ass handed to you. And I know that for a fact because
even the last 2 days. Yeah. But the days before that, they were great. But favorites came through.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So there's a little bit of, hesitancy for all of a sudden I have, taking points. But it would be take the points or pass for me in this game with Texas A&M. They look awesome, both ends of the floor. I love what I'm seeing from the A&M side. I wouldn't put too much stock into the fact that Vanderbilt got to 75 points and say, oh, maybe the defense was a little weak. They had a huge lead. Okay, that was coasting. That was they turned off that defensive. You look at the first half yesterday. That's the defense that Texas A&M's capable of.
Yeah, that's what I
25
want.
points
Yeah.
allowed to Vanderbilt. Like when that game was there for the taking, A&M's defense was nails. You couldn't score against them, and their defense has been awesome here the last few games. 61s allowed to Ole Miss, Alabama. Remember they beat Alabama late in the season at in Texas A&M, and then Arkansas on a neutral court. So A&M's been excellent. With all due respect to Alabama, this has been a nice couple of wins for them so far in the SEC tournament against Mississippi State and Missouri. But they're facing something a little bit different here in this game against Texas A&M, a whole different level of defense. And what I have to say too about Texas A&M is don't sleep on their ability to score. Wade Taylor the fourth, Tyrese Radford. Don't sleep on those two. Don't sleep on this team's ability offensively. They're not as good as some other teams in terms of the offensive side, but they're as good as it gets defensively. There is no question about that. So is Alabama, though. I mean, Alabama's played excellent, terrific, lights out defense in this tournament. 49 points allowed to Mississippi State, 61 against Missouri. 3 straight unders, by the way, for Alabama. And to be quite honest with you, I think because that was such a lopsided game and they switched off the defensive intensity when that game got so out of hand against Vanderbilt, I think that's probably the main reason that game ended up going over the total. So the betting markets are pounding the under here, and it's hard to argue with that. 149.5 all the way down to 145.5 now with the total. It's just, yeah, the defense has been absolutely outstanding. Yeah, the revenge factor is real, BJ. Yeah, Alabama revenge, no question about that. But Alabama's been in revenge for 5 fucking times now against A&M, and they still have not beaten them. So that's the thing about that angle is just maybe it's just not a great matchup. Maybe Williams has the edge over Nate Oates and out coaches him, out game plans him, just has a better scheme against him, and it's proven that way in repeated meetings here. So they're betting the under. They're actually betting Alabama here, so there is some truth to that. People are putting some stock into that this is the day Alabama finally gets Texas A&M. I'm going to have to see it though before I believe it. I like the A&M side, and the under move makes sense, but now it's down to 145.5. So, tread lightly if you haven't bet that yet, or bet the over if you disagree with it, because at least if you like the over, you're getting a good number. What do you think here, Conor Mac? Very fascinating game, SEC championship.
Well, yeah, we talked about last game. The total here on the full game's gone over. Now the first half's starting to move because it didn't. That's why it just stayed at 69. Now it's down. They're 68s. But that's what I looked at because I think I want it early here. The defense. I don't want any late game craziness here in this one. You mentioned that Bama's looked. These are the 2 best teams, and that basically all year long. I love how A&M's been playing, and they've owned them. I lean the points as well, but Bama's just been so good. I could see them winning by 10 or 12. But I think the defense is the key for A&M. Like you mentioned that game going over, there was a little out there, those points yesterday with Vandy. I think they want this game in the 60s like they just played it. What was 10 days ago? I don't know if they want to go crazy. They need to get back to that because before that over, ton of unders here for A&M. I'd look to the under here in this game. And the points, how can you not? I mean, so
yeah,
I'm on the under first half.
Yeah. Under first half, yeah, and I think that's a good call too. Under first half, just in case you get the fouling late. That's always, or if you don't want to go all on the first half, at the very least, if you like unders, go first half full game split. At the very least, so that if the full game under loses, you still cash and you go and you split out. You're even. You just don't want in some of these tournament settings. This goes for the NCAA tournament when it starts this week too. You just don't want all of your money on the full game under, in my opinion, because these are teams that seasons are on the line here. You're going to foul with down 8 in some instances with 10 seconds left because you're just playing your season's over if you lose. So yeah, there's definitely going to be that element too moving forward. So that's why the first half under, if you like unders, become something to consider because of that late fouling possibility. All right, we got 2 games left here. AAC Championship, Memphis and Houston. Houston 5.5, 6-point favorites, 135.5 being the total in this one. So I bet against Houston Friday. That worked out well, but East Carolina was getting 23 in that game, and it was just a huge number. The one thing I was worried about yesterday was I'm only getting 10 with Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati is supposed to be better than East Carolina, and Houston just suffocated them, and that's what Houston can do. Shouldn't be that shocked. I mean, that's what that defense is capable of. Cincinnati 25% from the field, 21% from three. They could not make a shot. The free throw shooting was horrendous as well for Cincinnati in that game. Awful free throw shooting, 16 of 28, 57% from the field. So absolutely awful. I think, by the way, you mentioned Brandon Miller in that Bama game. I think if you like Bama, or even if you don't like Bama, his props are worth a look. I think he's playing with a point to prove right now. Win or lose, he's probably going to get his against A&M. You would think so. The props for him might be worth a look. But getting back to Houston and Memphis, obviously Houston is outstanding in the way they've played, but be careful. Marcus Sasser suffered an injury yesterday in that game against Cincinnati. Will he be good to go?
Yeah, what's the
here for
word?
this game against Memphis? And the way Kelvin Sampson was talking to the media after the game, he sounded like he was going to hold him out. He hasn't confirmed it yet. We're not going to know until closer to tip off, but it sounded like they're going to hold him out. I mean, it's not the end of the world, this game. What is the end of the world is making sure he's ready for Thursday, okay, and the
Yeah,
NCAA tournament. So that's why I think if you're Kelvin Sampson, don't take chances, don't screw around. If he's a little bit hobbled from that injury yesterday against against Cincinnati, then you hold him out today against Memphis. So no need to play him. I mean, that's not reason alone to take Memphis, but certainly there's things that point a little bit to Memphis. Memphis gave Houston a tough game, in the previous meeting between these two teams. It was a competitive matchup. The problem is I don't like this Memphis team very much, but there are things that I think make sense here. And they're getting 6 now at some spots, and it was a tight 2-point win, and Houston got him at the buzzer in Memphis just a week ago, 67-65. In fact, Memphis has covered 9 of the last 10 games versus Houston. And the first meeting at Houston between these two teams this year is an 8-point game. So it's not like Houston's run over this Memphis team. These have been close games. These have been tough games. Memphis now lost an 8-point game to Houston, a 2-point game at the buzzer to Houston in Memphis just a week ago. I know Memphis is chomping at the bit to get another shot at Houston. And without Sasser, I'm leaning to taking the points with the Tigers. For as much as I've got issues with this team and their turnover issues, and shot selection at times is really bad on this team, and Penny Hardaway is not the second coming of Red Auerbach from a X's and O's and a scheming standpoint, that's for sure. But definitely, I'm tempted to look at Memphis here, +6, and especially with Marcus Sasser hobbled, and in my opinion, probably not going to play. If I had to put a guess on it, I don't think he's playing. What do you think here, Conor? AAC title game.
Yeah, Memphis, you really touched on that. It was just impressive yesterday. I think they played their best I've seen.
They
kind of all
defend
year
like
long.
that, like they did yesterday again. And Tulane can score. Okay, what they did, don't sleep on what they did defensively against Tulane yesterday. That was a unbelievable defensive performance. If they bring something close to that today, they can hang in this game.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd look to is the under. I know there's
Yep.
not a lot of you think at 135 here, but the first meeting went over by a point, and the other one stayed under, right? Just under here. It's just tight though, but I'd look that way and early. I think Sasser's too big. I know Roberts, the rest of the team, Walker, of course they're good, but he's the guy. I think for Houston. There's Noli knows. He said the last game didn't mean. Yeah, I guess, but it still means something to Memphis, and I'm sure this one does. This one's tough for me. I'd like to take the points with Memphis if I could trust them. They covered for me. I took them, last game. So I lean their way, but I'd look under here. I think they could struggle to score. Like Houston's defense is great. I mean, look what since he had 49 points yesterday, right? Something like that,
Yep.
48.
Yep.
I mean, this could just be ugly. Ugly.
Yeah. Ugly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt you have to give a coaching edge to Sampson. I mean, that's we're not splitting the atom figuring out we'd rather have him as our coach than Penny Hardaway from a preparation standpoint. But no, definitely, it's going to be interesting. Again, Sasser, by the way, owns. I was reading this on Bart Torvik's site, great statistical site. Marcus Sasser owns the greatest single player offensive rating for Houston this season by like 10 percentage points compared to the next player. So
Yeah.
So if he doesn't play, that's definitely good for the under. There's no question about that because he's so much of what makes them go offensively. Obviously, he can play defense too. The whole team can, but he's the highest rated offensive player, and it's not even close on this Houston team, Marcus Sasser. So that's why it's so important for him to play. But again, I don't know if you chance it. Let that groin heal. Get ready for Thursday. If I'm Kelvin Sampson
Yeah,
with
I
him.
wouldn't play him.
Yeah,
Flat
exactly. Yeah, no question. I would be very careful with that. All right, let's wrap it up. Big Ten championship game. Penn State and Purdue. Purdue 7.5-point favorites, 134.5 the total into this one. I don't want to get into the are they in, are they out discussion because with Penn State, I think it probably can go either way right now. They still might have to win this Big Ten tournament. Obviously, if they win today, that's they're in. Obviously, they get the auto bid in the Big Ten, but they might already be in. But they can certainly put it to rest if they win today here against Purdue. The biggest fear that I have here for Penn State is this is the dreaded fourth game in 4 days, right? This is a situation where do you finally hit the wall? We've seen evidence of that. Teams hitting the wall in this spot. And the Penn State, if you like Penn State, Julian's right, and what he's maybe doing. Penn State first half, Purdue full game. I think Penn State does hang. I think the first half's probably the better bet if you like Penn State here. Trust them early to hang in there, galvanized, run on adrenaline, run on this great momentum that they've put together. They really have been one of the hottest teams. 8-1 straight up down the stretch. The only loss, a 3-point loss to Rutgers. So they have been, even the one loss, they were right in the game. I mean, to me, I'm still not laying 7.5 with Purdue. I am not going to do it. 8 now in some spots going into this game. They are not a team I trust to cover numbers of this magnitude. And look, against an Ohio State team that was out of that game much of the second half, they almost still came through the back door and covered that one. 80-66. This is one where I'm kind of tempted by the over with them betting this thing down so heavily. We have seen Purdue trend to the over 3 straight, including both Big Ten tournament games. All 3 Penn State Big Ten tournament games have gone over the total, all 3 of them. So I think now they're betting this total down just a little bit too much. The 2 regular season meetings were 139 and 140 in terms of points scored in those games. Both of them went over the total as well, head to head, Penn State, Purdue during the regular season. So this is one now where the total's been bet, and they all on Conference Championship Sunday every year. We see the unders get hit in every single game. But there are a couple that I don't agree with, and this is one of them. I think now it's going down a little too low with the way both of these teams are in great offensive rhythm. Say what you will about how Purdue, I've ripped their guards for not being good enough, not giving enough support to the big guy, Zach Edey, but they've been shooting a little bit better here the last couple of games. But they made some big shots in the second half against Rutgers. They were, I think, very good in terms of shot making, much better against Ohio State yesterday in the win. Purdue's starting to hit some outside shots. And if they do that regularly in the tournament, then they're really dangerous to go with the Zach Edey, the Goliath in the paint. But they don't always do that. They're not always consistent with the outside shooting and the good guard play. But it has been better the last couple, so that could help the over. And how are you going to not trust Penn State to score? I mean, these guys are playing great at the offensive end, led by Jalen Pickett. He's had an absolutely scintillating – you just hope he doesn't run out of gas because he's playing like 37, 38 minutes in all these games. He needs Seth Lundy. He needs Andrew Funk. He needs Cameron Winter. He needs some of those other guys to step up here for Penn State in recent games and help him out today, because you do worry about maybe fatigue setting in for Pickett because so much of Penn State's success falls on his shoulders. But I'm going to go with Penn State here, but more so in the first half. What I'm going to do is probably go 75% first half Penn State +4 and 25% on the 7.5, 8 for the full game, because there is that fear of 4 games in 4 days that they run out of gas in the second half. So I'm going to go with that. I'm also going to jump on this over with the total dropping down to as low as 134 now in a couple of books. Conor, what do you think of your Big Ten championship game?
Yeah, you ripped through it there, but Ben. One thing with Purdue, with Penn State, I've been on them every day. I just kind of, can they run out of gas? We saw Ohio State, but we talked about them. it's kind of a little bit of a fluke, sends a ball out, the whole thing, yada, yada, yada. And Purdue got it done, but I wouldn't want them again laying points. I get it, they're the better team. They've owned Penn State too, but I want the team that can shoot it from three, and that could bury me, but I'll take the 8 points. Like you said, there's 8 out there. That's the way I'd look. Purdue might win this, but I don't know if they cover. You mentioned the totals come down. I don't know. Because Penn State, I think if they win, they want to push pace a little bit. They need to knock down shots. Now, if they get ugly and get held down, this will keep it under. But can Purdue cover a number and still be an under, of course, but you got that whole thing going on. So I got to ride Pickett. Yeah, I'm not going to jump off the train now. So the better guards are there. And yes, Purdue will eat inside, obviously. He just can't be stopped. I mean, he should 20 and 10 just every game. But yeah, I'm with you here. I think 8's too many.
All right.
And it's tough because Purdue just has owned them. I took Penn State by one of the 2 games. I'd have to go back, and they just got that ass whip. They lost by 16.
Yep.
And then the other game, they lost by 20. So
that is a worry. There's no question. Purdue definitely dominated them twice during the regular season, but that was a Penn State team that didn't hit this incredible run down the stretch. And by the way, this coach of theirs, he may not be there very long. I'm already hearing him linked to other jobs that are opening up, and because Micah Shrewsbury here with Penn State. So be careful. They might, while he's done a nice job here with this basketball team, how long is he going to be around? But he's done a nice coaching job here at Penn State. And I'm hearing him linked to all kinds of other openings that are popping up across the college basketball landscape. So keep your eye on that. But yeah, Penn State first half full game split, but a little more on the first half for me. And I'm also going to jump on the over 134 with that total dropping just a little too low, in my opinion, there in that game. All right, there we go. That is the Sunday college basketball conference championship slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. 293 live viewers on a Sunday. Are you kidding me? And look, some people, we just announced doing these Sunday shows a couple weeks ago, and to see 300 people in the chat, amazing stuff. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We'll definitely we'll obviously have the Pub Hub next Saturday during the NCAA tournament. We'll have a Sunday show next week too at 11 a.m. Eastern, because we'll have the second round of the NCAA tournament next Sunday. I don't know, Connor. We'll obviously confirm this tomorrow when we get the schedule, but I'm pretty sure we will not have net profit tomorrow, because I don't think there's going to be any games tomorrow. So I think we'll be off tomorrow. We'll be back Tuesday though, because Tuesday we've got NIT. CBI, CIT tournaments starting, those, consolation tournaments, if you will. The people that weren't good enough to get to the big dance, they're going to be going to the NIT on Tuesday night. So we will have a show on Tuesday for sure at 5 p.m. Eastern. And of course, Tuesday to Friday, the show will run 5 p.m. Eastern at the same time, net profit. So, all right, hit the like button. We appreciate it. Best bets coming up right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. Southtown 101, when you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping using promo code PubSports. Oh, I should remind everybody, tune in today, Pub Sports Radio, I believe at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, which is half an hour before the selection show begins. Jimmy the Bag and a cast of characters. I think Connor Mack might be one of those characters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'll be on for the beginning. Yeah.
Join Jimmy the Bag for a live Pub Sports Radio version of a Selection Sunday special.
So into live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of
It'll
a
be more
Selection Sunday
entertaining than
in the
listening to Charles Barkley talk about. I love Charles, but Charles is out to lunch when it comes to college basketball. He just doesn't watch. I don't even
when
think
they
they put
take
him
it
on.
over, when they do it it's just like, come on. Why is
Yeah.
the NBA, the TNT guys
He's
fucking
awesome with
here?
NBA because I love his NBA
Yeah,
takes, but yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
college he doesn't watch it all year, night in, night out like the rest of us do. But nevertheless, yeah, these guys will be more entertaining than anything you watch on CBS tonight with the or bracketology on ESPN or whatever other shit that's on there. So join Jimmy the Bag, Conor Mack and crew, Pub Sports Radio, Selection Sunday special, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time right here on Pub Sports Radio later today. All right, best bets, Conor Mack, for this Sunday, this final day of action before the NCAA tournament begins. What do you think here, Conor? Best bet?
I'll give you the two bets that I've already bet. The under 58 first half in Dayton VCU. And I got 69. There's still 68 and a half. I'm on that first half under. And in Bama, I think we see defense early. That's it.
All right, there we go. Best bets for Conor Mack. There are two of them. You know what? I'll give you two best bets as well. Let's go with VCU money line against Dayton. VCU minus 130 against Dayton for one best bet. And the other best bet is I'll give you three, actually, because I feel I got to make up for yesterday because UAB was such a pathetic result. VCU money line minus 130. I'm going to go with A&M plus 5, even with the revenge factor for Alabama. I got to see Alabama beat A&M before I'm ready to lay 5 with them. Texas A&M plus 5 for me. And I'm going to go with Penn State in the first half, plus 4 against Purdue. I like that first half bet better than anything else. And look, let's be honest. If Penn State's down by a big margin and doesn't cover the first half, they're probably in jeopardy to cover the full game. So they have to have a good first half, I think, to have a chance. So Penn State plus 4 against Purdue first half. There you go.
There's a
best
4.5 out there too, Bama.
Yep. Oh, there we go.
DraftKings.
We'll lock that in. Yep. 4.5 is out there. DraftKings. So there we go. 4.5 first half for Penn State. All right. Good stuff. That is the Sunday College Basketball Pub Up Show. Hit the like button on the way out. And a reminder, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, join Jimmy the Bag, Conor Mack, and the rest of the crew for the Selection Sunday show right here on Pub Sports Radio. Good stuff indeed. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Great Selection Sunday. Enjoy the games. Enjoy watching the field get announced. Looking forward to finally having some matchups, some point spreads, totals to break down with the NCAA tournament starting tonight. Looking forward to that. We'll be back on Tuesday. Note the day, Tuesday. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern for our next edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. We'll see you then right here on Pub Sports Radio.
Peace.
Palooza 2 on the horizon. We're going to have live shows popping off in the Southtown 101. We're going to have a poker tournament, a par 3 golf tournament, UFC San Antonio on the Saturday night. A lot of excitement. Palooza 2, baby.